All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show presented by Go Chevrolet. After a beautiful weekend of basketball, we get set for this Monday with LSU and a trip to the Sweet 16 on the line as the Tigers battle only one of three Big Ten teams remaining in the tournament. As Michigan, the Wolverines, one of the top overall seeds, will square off against LSU coming up at 6 o'clock this morning. We're going to talk a ton of basketball coming up here over the next 2 hours. Somebody's got sound going. Who's got sound?
Is it me?
Yeah. Hey, we're just checking on all fronts.
Checking all fronts.
Coming in here with a little arrogance after Mississippi State wins one baseball series.
I'll have the sound going if I want to.
One baseball series. So all that happens. Easy on that. Easy on that. Let's not start ringing bells here at 7:02 this morning.
You got to ring a bell.
Jason Ramazan over at Metropolitan Health Group, a loser after he was talking a ton of smack on social media going into the weekend. Katie and the Bulldogs come down to Baton Rouge and pretty much wipe the floor with LSU. Take 2 or 3, but guess what? Nobody cares. We're not even going to talk about it. It's basketball.
Come on.
Was that even happening this weekend? Was anybody even at the box?
I was.
Were you?
Plenty of people were. Did you not watch it?
No, I did not.
No, it looked like a scrimmage.
I didn't. There was too much basketball happening for what I was paying attention to. I will be paying attention to Jason Ramazan paying up on that bet though. For sure. What's he going to have to do? Wear some Mississippi State gear and shake a bell?
No, I just said he had to ring the cowbell.
Okay.
Oh, you should put him in a black top and some black pants.
Stop.
Get
Sunday
Hunt,
best.
Get Hunt to call the game.
Stop.
Y'all leave my guy Hunt alone.
Because that's a superstition thing. I mean, if anybody would have done their research on it, that's like a Sunday blacks thing that
It can
Mississippi
be.
State has.
Doesn't mean it looks good.
Here's the deal,
I
man.
love it.
Hunt's
I
not
love the
paid to
black
do
uniform.
research on Mississippi State. He's the LSU Sports Radio Network.
No, but we didn't
announcer.
have an SEC crew calling that game, so everybody had to listen to.
You know what looks good? Those Sunday Golds.
It did look good. It did look good. LSU was able to salvage one game this weekend over at the box. As I said, we will not talk a lot about that.
Game LSU had Sunday.
Cody Worsham, thank you with the pat on the head there.
It was. That was a great game.
Yes, good game. Now go get my water. Cody Worsham will be here at 8:30 this morning. We will talk to Worsham about a little bit about baseball. LSU football had their first scrimmage of spring drills. Derek Stingley Sr. will stop by here at 8 a.m. I'm sure he was inside of Tiger Stadium. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw on Saturday. We'll also ask him about his bracket as LSU is set to square off in the Tigers. One of the stories of the weekend as Mark Cassio, looking forward to getting Coach Cassio in here at 7:15 this morning, where we're just going to talk a ton of hoop. We will go up to Indiana at 8:30 this morning as John Brady will have the call tonight for LSU and Michigan. We'll get his thoughts on the game Saturday where LSU was able to run out and get a opening round win versus the St. Bonaventure's Bonnies as the Tigers had 3 players with a double-double. Tons to talk about coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show as Coach Cascio just said that he has pulled up at the undisclosed location if we want to bring him in. He will be wearing a blindfold for sure. Yep. But we're gonna get him in here at 7:15, so maybe just walk him in here and just give him a little water, coffee before we get him in.
Untie him.
That's right. That's right. Get off the horse. Give you some of the stories from the weekend before we get to Coach Cassio. As first and foremost, thank everybody out there for getting involved in our bracket challenge. The numbers have been a little overwhelming for us here on the staff, man. It was fantastic.
Especially for me being in the number 1 spot.
Unreal.
Totally overwhelming.
Unreal.
I mean, still on the lot for the Chevy Spark.
I mean, we had 312 entries in this thing.
That's a lot, yeah.
Sitting in the top
Number 1.
spot right now.
People sleep on me.
Katie, you had 14? Okay, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Couldn't even
David's
find my
like
name.
7,
great. We'll say,
6
Coach,
or
don't walk in
7.
that shot right there. Coach, grab that chair. Don't tell anybody where you are. I'm sure you've signed the confidentiality agreement. We're going to talk a ton of hoop
A-Rod.
with my guy. How you doing, Coach? Great hair. Good to see you.
Great hair.
Great hair, huh? Don't you have great hair?
He does have great hair.
Great hair. All right, so we got tons to get to over the next 2 hours. As we said, Coach Cassio will sit inside here with us right about till 8 a.m. We're looking for. We're going to call Coach John Brady at 7:30. Let you two just kind of go back and forth and talk about some of the things that you've seen through the tournament and break down this LSU and Michigan matchup. Coach Cassio runs a consulting service as well where he does where he breaks down and does some game plans, does some videos. It's really cool stuff. He's already broken down Michigan, so I'm looking forward to getting his thoughts on the Michigan Wolverines coming up here at 7:15 this morning. But it's always billed as one of the best sports weekends that we have, and I thought this weekend was all of that with the opening weekend of NCAA March Madness. At least one team from every seed except for the number 16 seeds won a first-round game. Cinderella's included the 15th-seeded Oral Roberts, which is still alive, which Katie has. Still moving. They defeated Ohio State in overtime to become the first number 15 to take down a 2 since 2016. There's also the 14th-seeded Abilene Christian team who beat Texas. You picked Abilene Christian as well. It's unbelievable. They represent Abilene. A pair of last-second free throws by Joe Pleasant and Abilene Christian on Saturday was able to preserve the win over the Longhorns. What a win for that program. And then the second round of the NCAA tournament, which saw 9 double-digit seeds still kicking, which was tied for the second highest total ever. 5 of them were in action on Sunday, and 3 of them advanced into the Sweet 16, capped by number 12 Oregon State, advancing over number 4 Oklahoma State in the final game on Sunday. As we mentioned, Oral Roberts beat State Alive, and number 11 Syracuse, Jim Boeheim, and Buddy Boeheim.
Sweet stroke.
I mean, the kid's got an unbelievable stroke, man. They live to see another day as well. How about Loyola Chicago? This story continues to just kind of gain legs. Porter Moser, who is just a fantastic coach. If anything ever happened with Will Wade, to see her moved on, if anything, that would be my guy. I mean, go get Porter Moser. That guy can just flat out coach. How about this? According to ESPN Stats and Info, Loyola Chicago now is 15-5 all time in the tournament, tying Duke for the best winning percentage in the NCAA tournament. Cameron Krutwig, Krut King, finished with a team high 19-12, 5 assists, 3 steals. He doesn't look the part, but he is absolutely an incredible basketball player, at least through this tournament.
I bet he gives people the work at the rack. Like,
yes.
Just shows up unassuming, like,
Yes.
well, I'll take him.
He also looks like a bully. He also looks like he hands out some noogies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he looks like
Watch your locker.
he looks like he shoves kids' heads down the toilet and flushes it. I mean, like,
Be you third
he
period.
looks like just a alpha prick. You know what I mean? Doesn't
First
he just
team all prick.
an alpha bully? I mean, just like, look at Krutwig, man.
Even the name.
Let's walk the other way. But the dude can just hoop, man. I mean, gets to the rim. His shot's pure. He passes the ball. Just beautiful basketball. I mean, it was unreal watching them take down. Illinois never had a chance.
No, they
like they were never close. I got Illinois in the championship game.
Me too.
Do you? Oh,
Yeah.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Finally. Sheesh.
I know, right?
Thank God.
I did pick Illinois.
I thought you were picking the games as they went. But it was Illinois, which I thought arguably, besides Gonzaga, was the top overall seed, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would argue that Gonzaga was the number 1 seed, but if there was anybody in that discussion that could go back and forth there, you thought it would have been Illinois, and they were just demolished by an in-state opponent in Loyola Chicago, who took down Illinois yesterday afternoon. VCU, I can't imagine that story. I mean, like, I talked to Coach Cascio coming up here in a couple of minutes, but you could just, Mike Rhodes, as he was delivering that message to the public, forget to his team. And if you didn't hear about it, I'm sure you did if you were invested into the NCAA tournament this weekend, Oregon and VCU were slated for a first-round matchup. And then VCU got some negative tests or some positive tests back on their COVID testing, and the game was called off. I can't imagine a worse NCAA experience than what VCU is going through. A COVID-19 breakout. Head coach Mike Rhodes said Saturday that the team had been tested daily for the past 3 weeks, but that multiple players had tested positive in the last 48 hours. The speculation is that VCU players became infected not in Indianapolis, but rather in Dayton last week at the A-10 tournament. So VCU is out without even playing, man. Just a
shame. Very disappointing.
Hate that story for VCU, as I just can't imagine being a senior. I can't imagine being somebody late in your career with an ultimate opportunity to go play in this atmosphere, in this setting, and not being able to do that because of positive tests that come back a week prior to you landing in Indianapolis. Is just that's a tough one to take, man. As we mentioned, LSU is going to match up against Michigan this afternoon. One of only 3 Big Ten teams remaining in the tournament. There were 9 going in. Michigan, Iowa, and Maryland are the only 3 left remaining. LSU will tip it off against the number 1 seed, Michigan, this afternoon in a primetime matchup at Lucas Oil Stadium coming up at 6 o'clock this afternoon. Iowa and Oregon. So Oregon, with that no contest versus VCU, is going to move on and face Iowa, who's a 2nd seed, a 2 seed tonight. And then, speaking of another 2 seed, Alabama is going to play Maryland this afternoon, who's a 10 seed. So those are the 3 Big Ten teams remaining, and 2 SEC squads will match up against 2 of the 3 remaining, as LSU will face the Wolverines this afternoon and Alabama will face Maryland tonight. So a lot to get to, a lot to touch on after opening weekend in the tournament. But really just kind of going back to the LSU game on Friday, or excuse me, on Saturday. The Tigers, as we said, defensively have continued to keep the pressure up. And like Will Wade brought up to us just a couple of weeks back here on this radio show, and it's really been a soundbite that I have run with, and I look forward to talking to Coach Cascio about his thoughts on it. But Will Wade said right here on this show, he said, when our season comes to an end, when we get into a do-or-die situation, the reason why LSU is going to get beat is because they're going to get beat on the glass. And that was about 3.5 weeks ago. That was about a month ago where he said that. And inside of that window, LSU's intensity and defensive effort has been tremendous. And I think one way that you can look at that and take examples from is on the glass. They out-rebounded St. Bonaventure's on Saturday by 19. That was the story. I mean, you had 3 guys finish a game with a double-double. Darius Days and Trendon Watford make sense, right? How about Andre Hyatt and what he's given you during tournament time? You've got to have those ancillary parts step up this time of the year, because everybody's scouting report is trying to take Javonte Smart out of the game. Somebody's going to try and find an answer for what Trendon Watford's doing around the rim right now. Somebody's going to try to take Cam Thomas out of the game completely, whether it's running something at him on just a single isolation defensive effort, or maybe even throwing 2 guys at him. But you're going to have somebody step up like Hyatt. And Hyatt, I thought, did a lot of the dirty work on Saturday. A lot of those offensive rebounds, a lot of those 50-50 balls that can go either way. Hyatt's on the ground scrambling for, giving you some easy putbacks and some trash points under the rim that he's just cleaning up by boxing out and getting dirty down there. I think that LSU they're a scary, scary team. In fact, we were watching this morning in pre-production as Jay Billis was breaking down some of the matchups for today. And he was talking about LSU, and you can see the national media starting to swing on LSU, the basketball team. The storyline's going to stay there. I mean, how bad was that Javonte Smart technical foul? Was that the worst call you've seen all weekend? I mean, I saw yesterday in one game. I'm trying to remember the game. I watched so many games yesterday.
Eyes were bleeding.
But one they had a breakout dunk. Guy flushes it, looks at the opposing team's bench, and says pretty much the same thing that Javonte said after he hit that three-pointer on Saturday. Remember, this is an LSU team that is offensive-minded. Identity-wise, that's who they are. They score points. They had a slow start on Saturday. St. Bonaventure's did a really nice job of dictating the pace within the first 12 minutes. And for LSU to break out of that funk, one of the biggest shots that they hit within that time span was Javonte hitting an open floor 3, where he just reacted by saying, let's bleep and go. In March, at the NCAA tournament, round 1, after a slow start, beep, technical foul. Are you kidding? Okay, I got it. We see it. It's everything we talked about last week at the SEC tournament. And again, I'm not conspiracy guy. I don't think everybody's out to get LSU. But look at the damn evidence, man. Come on. They didn't get a call last week in Nashville. They're not going to get a call in Indianapolis. But that technical foul after a weekend full of whistles was the absolute worst I saw all weekend. And it ain't even close. And it's not a coincidence it came with LSU on the floor. But enough of that. Cam Thomas.
God, those free throws.
11 of 13.
Those were amazing.
Pure.
Amazing.
Pure. 13 was one short of Shaquille O'Neal's program record of an NCAA tournament game. He added 4 rebounds and 3 assists in 39 minutes of action. The All-SEC freshman guard didn't score in the first 11 minutes of the game before scoring 27 points in 29 minutes, 20 of those coming in the last 20 minutes. His 13 free throw attempts tied Glenn Davis's tournament record by a Tiger set against Duke in the 2006 Sweet 16. LSU improved to 27-25 in the tournament with their win on Saturday, and they set up a tilt this afternoon versus the number 1 seeded Michigan Wolverines, which will come to you in prime time. That thing will tip off at 6:10 this afternoon on CBS as LSU and Michigan will tip it off from Lucas Oil Stadium. There is a ton to talk about with this matchup. We're going to start doing that with Catholic High head basketball coach Mark Cassio next. A couple of time state championship winner with his stops at Christian Life before he got to Catholic High, but one of the most well-respected basketball minds in our state will be in the undisclosed location. We'll talk to him till about 8 o'clock, and we'll invite John Brady into the conversation at 7:30 this morning. So we're about to geek out on basketball for a couple of minutes here as we get you set up for round 2 and LSU and Michigan. Daily, we are brought to you by Relief Telemed. My good friend Vishal Vasanji and Relief Telemed is the best way and the only way to get your health care in 2021. In your home or on site. That's right, in your home. The nurses, the doctors can come straight to you. Relief is changing how health care is delivered. No more doctor's offices, no more waiting rooms. Health care in the comfort of your own home. The process is easy. All you got to do is download the application today. Get over to Relief Health from your Apple or Google app stores. Get connected to a local doctor in your community, or just order a test directly without talking to a doctor. COVID test is live right now with more tests coming soon. Get results and treatment plans in your app. Relief has the vaccine from Moderna. Relief will also come on site for any employer or administrator to their employees. Check out Relief Telemed. Download the app today, Relief Health, from Apple or Google app stores. They can get you your vaccine today. Relief Telemed, proud sponsor here of the Jordy Culotta Show. New sponsor here. Welcome aboard to Vishal, Relief Telemed, and the crew. Give us about 1 minute to turn over the set, and we will have Coach Cassio on set with us, and we'll talk a ton of basketball coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet.
Women are changing the game on and off the field. This week's episode of the Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro features Saints beat writer for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, Amy Just. Learn more about the amazing woman who digs deep into the stories surrounding the Houdat Nation. Catch our interview with Amy on the Gridiron Show YouTube channel. We're also giving away 20 units of Botox, courtesy of Johnson and Spiller's Dentistry, to one lucky winner. You can learn more about how to win on episode 3 of the Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro podcast, now streaming on all podcasting platforms.
How confident do you feel about your streaming service? Do you know if you have the right gear or not? Is Facebook and YouTube consistently letting you down? I now present to you WSN Live. WSN can help your church, your team, your community bring everyone together for one streaming service where there's no more equipment guessing, broadcasts that your audience will absolutely love, and a support team that you will have around the clock. WSN Live. Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Remember, you can find us, our merchandise, Nikki, our merchandise website.
At jordy.itemorder.com, jordy.itemorder.com.
Remember, they got great Southern Marsh selection up there as well, and our friends over at Red Stick Sports. Stop in and see our merchandise store. Appreciate the interaction online for our bracket challenge presented by Just Winging It at the Jordy Culotta Show. It is good to see our good friend, Catholic High head basketball coach. You're good there, Coach, if you want to knock that down. Thank you for playing along with us. It's good to see Coach Mark Cassio inside of the undisclosed location as we talk a ton of basketball here on this Monday after the opening weekend of March Madness. As you can find Coach Cassio on Twitter at Coach Cassio. That's CASCIO. Also at CoachCassio.com. He's the head basketball coach over at Catholic High, 8 years running now. Spent the previous 3 at Christian Life before that, where he led the Crusaders to a state title, played for another one of the great basketball minds in our state. He's also a coaching consultant. Would that be the right term for it? As a coaching consultant that you can learn more about at CoachCassio.com. And he's been sending me some of his videos of some of the breakdowns of some of these NCAA games. And I would just tell you, first and foremost, they are very easy to follow. So if you're just wanting to learn the game, if you're a young coach or if you're a parent, you have a kid that's playing, you just want to learn about the game of basketball, get over and check out CoachCassio.com. What'd you think of the first weekend of the tournament?
Thought it was awesome.
Get up on that thing.
So I think pretty typical tournament probably, but it feels pretty special, I guess, because it's been a year removed.
Yeah.
But I think you got the right amount of underdogs winning. Not a lot of blowouts, so a lot of really close games. Had some really good comebacks last night. So I think it's just been exciting. I think it's everything you want in March Madness.
I loved it. I mean, I thought that we saw, and we mentioned this in our opening segment, that the second round of the NCAA tournament started with 9 double-digit seeds still alive. I think that is a testament to the sport. I don't think that's a testament to the seeding. I think that there's that much quality basketball within the game.
Yeah, tons of parity in college basketball now, especially with the one and done where you got to go to college. So not a big surprise to see a lot of mid-majors winning those games. I will say, though, once you get past the Sweet 16, you almost want the heavyweights in there, though, sometimes. But it's awesome to see, like, Oral Roberts battle back against Florida. That was awesome. And just some really exciting basketball. Virginia goes down again, as remember back in 2018, they were the only number 1 seed to fall to a 16 as Baltimore County, University of Maryland, Baltimore County upset them 2 years ago. In 2019, the Cavaliers won the tournament, won the national championship. In 2020, obviously, there was no tournament. And then yesterday, the Wahoos lost to number 13 seed by a double-digit loss. So Virginia goes down again. This is that time of the year where you see some of the heavyweights rocked. I guess, what was the biggest upset that stood out to you this weekend? Got to be Ohio State going down. You'd said only 3 Big Ten teams left. I mean, overrated and everything, right?
Yeah.
Basketball, football. So, that was a shocker because Ohio State can score, and usually teams that can score can advance in the tournament. But it's fun to see that, man. I mean, that's what you'll always remember those. I remember back in the day seeing like Weber State make a run, and all those. Those are the ones that stick with you.
Yeah. All right. Take me to Saturday, LSU and St. Bonaventure's. That was a game that was a total, when you looked at it, just contrasting styles, right? You had one side in Schmidt and St. Bonaventure's who wanted to absolutely take the air out of the game, slow it down, and then you got LSU who wants to get out and run. What did you make of the way that LSU went into that game as far as the way that they game planned and then the way that they executed?
Yeah, I thought we got some good shots as the game went on. Early, we took some really, really tough ones, and the pace was so slow. Everybody talked about St. Bonaventure's pace being slow, and I thought we were in trouble, to be honest, early in that game. I really did, man. We took some tough ones, and we settled into some good shots. I mean, you mentioned Andre Hyatt. He took some shots early, and I actually like to see that because you want to see him playing confident.
Well, then it makes the defense guard all 5 spots, right?
Yeah, exactly. It spaces the floor. The new three-point line in college basketball already spaces the floor a little bit for you. But, man, the way the game was going, it was going to be a grinder, and I knew something had to change. And the good news was that we were defending. So you mentioned the rebounding margin, too. I mean, I think Texas Tech was probably a turning point for LSU, that game, and I really think the big difference with rebounding is, one, I kind of thought we were going to out-rebound St. Bonaventure because they had the 6'10", number 21, but after that they were 6'5" and below. Yeah. So I felt like whoever was guarding Trendon Watford or Darius Days, we had a big advantage there. They had an undersized 4 on Trendon, who's 6'5". But I think the biggest difference in LSU basketball is we're defending better, so we're not in rotation so much. So everybody thinks of the game in silos of this is defense, this is rebounding, this is offense. But when you're not defending very well, you're in rotation, so now your block-out assignments aren't shored up. So now we're staying out of rotation, which puts you in better rebounding position. Obviously, that was the big difference in the game because if you get those clean rebounds, you can run and get some pace. I thought Coach Wade made some really good adjustments in the second half. We kind of went away from horns or our ball screen stuff, and he went to –
And that's just playing from the top of the key?
Yeah, it's playing from the top of the key with 2 ball screeners at the elbows, 2 shooters in the corners. I felt like St. Bonaventure's is a good team defensive team. They can guard your stuff, but I didn't think they could just guard our dudes. So just – kind of spacing the floor and letting our guys create advantages for each other. I felt like that was a great adjustment in the second half.
And then offensively, Cam got that 29, that 27 seemingly effortlessly, especially with the way he started. He got 20 of the 29 in the second half. What do you see from him that they may be doing to free him up or him getting better looks? Because you would think at this time of the year that the majority of defenses that they face are going to be aimed towards at least trying to take him out of the game or stop him to some point.
Yeah, I think LSU's spacing the floor better, just overall. And, Javante and Trendon can gain an advantage, which is going to draw 2, and I think we're just passing the ball better since we're spaced. But I think it seemed more effortless for Cam because he was getting some catch and shoot from the perimeter rather than having to do everything off the bounce. And I love seeing him take it inside. He got a couple and ones, and then I love seeing him kick it out too. I mean, Coach Wade has said he can take any shot he wants, and he's not bashful about that. But I do think being willing to pass puts even more pressure on the D sometimes.
The drop off of the dribble drive on Saturday where he just drops it to Trendon for an easy bucket. I don't know if it was an and one or just a layup, but I mean, he sucked up 3 guys when he got into the paint.
Yeah, and I think we're going to need that early tonight. Just get some easy baskets. I think if the game starts like the game against the Bonnies did, it's going to be tough because Michigan's going to be able to score
play catch
the ball.
up. Yeah. Daily, we're brought to you by Johnson and Spillers Dentistry. Remember Dr. Chad Spillers and Dr. Johnson, as you can get in touch with Dr. James Johnson and Dr. Chad Spillers over at Johnson and Spillers Dentistry. They can help you out in 2 locations, Gonzales or in Baton Rouge. If you're in Baton Rouge, in between Segan and Bluebonnet, on Perkins is where you can find them, and then out in Gonzales over there on Prepara Avenue. But if you're looking for pediatric dentistry, if you need anything that they can help you with that you may need with today, stop in and see them. They're online at johnsonspillers.com. They got great social media. They can help you out with some teeth whitening and some Botox as well. So get in touch with Johnson and Spillers as they are the proud supporting dentist here on the Jordy Culotta Show as we will go up to Indianapolis here as LSU is set to square off tonight at Lucas Oil Stadium. Can you hear that through your headphones? You good? Kill that. Is that too much? Yes, sir. We are live.
I love it, man. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Meet Mark Cassio. I believe you guys have met before, but Mark Cassio is the head basketball coach at Catholic High School. Coach John Brady of the LSU Sports Radio Network. I figure for the next 10, 15 minutes, we just talk hoop.
Hey, I'm in, man. Let me see if I can recall something. I know Coach Cassio, man. What are you talking about?
All right. I was just
Morning,
making
Coach.
sure. Just want to make sure.
He was a young man back then when I knew him.
What did you see Saturday? What jumped out to you Saturday during that win?
Well, I think St. Bonaventure, and it's what I thought. Teams like that have certain things they do. When they read defenses and that sort of things, and have some counters on some things they really like to do. The two things: LSU's length bothered them, and then LSU's switching man-to-man defense bothered them. And unless you've played, and Coach Wade's team has gotten better in their switching man. The best way to disrupt teams is to switch, and if you got the personnel that can do that from time to time, it's a heck of a defense to attack. And they play it a little soft. They don't really get out and cover you. We're there when they on the catch, so it makes it difficult to slip screens and do some things to counter what LSU is doing defensively. So I thought LSU's length and their ability to switch, and I don't think St. Bonaventure, the league that they play, has faced a length and a switching defense like LSU's committed to doing.
Coach John Brady joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. When you look at this matchup on Saturday, let's start with. Let me go back real quick. Andre Hyatt.
Okay.
You know that everybody's going to be geared to stopping Thomas. So he's stopping Smart to stop Watford. Going to try to find an answer for days. But how dangerous is LSU when they get the production of a guy like Andre Hyatt like they got on Saturday?
Well, the timing of that is really good. I think when you have a guy off the bench do something like that, he kind of made up for the game that Javonte Smart didn't have. And since the game was we scored 61 or in the low 60s, you weren't really searching for points because St. Bonaventure couldn't put any pressure on LSU to score it. So for him to have that timely game when Javonte didn't play as well or scored as well as he normally does, it was really good. And plus, for the game to be a low-scoring game as it was, benefited LSU as well. When one of our big four guys doesn't have the game that we need him to have, if the game was in the high 70s or 80s.
Michigan, this matchup this afternoon, this number one seed. A lot of people thought when LSU was put in this bracket that this was an ideal matchup for the Tigers, especially with Livers and him not being able to go. When you look at this matchup on paper, how do you feel about it going into the tip-off this afternoon at 6 o'clock Central Time?
Well, I think one thing that helps LSU is Livers not playing. I mean, this guy he's averaging 13.1 a game. He plays 32, 33 minutes a game. I mean, he's a big clock. Related to LSU fans, if you took our second-best player off the team, we wouldn't be as efficient either on either end of the floor. So, if you don't play without Watford or without Smart, we may have some challenge, especially against a team like Michigan. So it helps us to a degree in that regard. The other thing is there's a couple of things I wrote down. Rebounding, obviously, they have a plus 6.5 rebound margin against their opponents. They have some size, they have some length. So we've got to do a nice job on the board, and then me, I'm all into the field goal stat.
Yep.
And both teams shoot about 48% from the floor. I mean, Michigan shoots 48% from the floor, and if you let them shoot that, you've got some problems. So we've got to wrestle that field goal stat down a little bit, and if we can shoot what we normally shoot, that'll give us a chance to win the game. And Michigan's better percentage-wise from the three than LSU. I'm not sure if they score more points from the three, but they are from a percentage standpoint. And anytime they have an inside presence plus an outside presence that can keep a defense honest, it helps them. So we've got to be able to control the field goal stat, whether it's from the two or the three. And then I'm going to throw one out there. Who fouls the least? A game like this, who can get each other to the free throw line? And if LSU can continue to defend well and not foul and put guys on the line, and we don't get guys in foul trouble, I think it benefits us. And certainly to try and get Michigan in foul trouble would be to our advantage. So I think the free throw line, who gets to the free throw line the most, or who holds the other team to the free throw line the least, will be the advantage. And those are three things that I'm going to try to follow really throughout the game. And people have always talked this year about the opponent they got this big guy. When does a big guy hurt LSU this year? When does a guy around the basket hurt LSU really? And the question you ask is, on the other end of the floor, what's that big guy going to do on the other end when we got 5 guys out there that can make a three? So he's got, it's going to be to watch that. How does the freshman, the 6'10" freshman from Michigan, what does he do when he's got to come out on the floor a little bit and maybe guard Days or guard Watford? We'll see how that plays out over a 40-minute game as well.
According to Ken Palm, Michigan has the 6th ranked defense in the country. Cam Thomas scored 20 of his 29 in the second half on Saturday. He got that 20, it looked like, very, very easy, at least from watching from my living room. What are you seeing from Cam right now, and what do you think that the defensive game plan will be for Juwan Howard in Michigan this afternoon on trying to stop the freshman?
Well, I think it was the best game Cam has played, even though he missed some baskets early. I think he stayed focused. He started taking it to the goal, and as he got fouled, he went from inside to out, and then he made some huge baskets the second half. And I don't think St. Bonaventure isn't like playing against the quickness and the speed of Alabama or Arkansas or something like that. They're a good team, but they just didn't have enough people to beat LSU the other day, and particularly when the game got a little up-tempo and a little out of their comfort zone. I think what Michigan's going to rely on is some team defense on Cam, but I think they think that they're going into this game thinking if they stay in the stance and do the things they need to do, they have the athletes that can guard Cam Thomas in terms of the length, match his quickness, his foot speed. I think athletically they think they're equal to LSU, so I think it's just a matter of being disciplined defensively, challenging his shot without fouling. I think that's a big key to guarding Cam Thomas. Is keep him off the foul line, keep him in front, make him shoot balls over you, and don't give him easy baskets by fouling him carelessly or needlessly. So I think Michigan thinks they can guard him. They will help and rotate, but certainly I think from a one-on-one standpoint, I read something where this guy Wagner or Wagner, whatever they call him, that their motto is guard your space or guard your line or whatever the case may be. So they think from an athletic standpoint they can match up with him, and I think individually they'll probably guard him more than really double teaming him from time to time.
You mentioned the rebound stat, and the rebounding stat, and they outboarded St. Bonaventure's by 19 on Saturday. A lot of people, when you hear LSU talking about, or when you hear the national heads talking about LSU right now, they're talking about their effort and the emphasis that they've made on the defensive end over the last month being the difference. You are a defensive-minded coach. What have you seen from LSU over that time that have made them at least look like they're very competent and executing on that side of the floor right now?
Well, I think in the SEC tournament, those 3 games they played, and then it carried over to the St. Bonnie game, and I think in the NCAA tournament, what LSU is committed to defensively is switching everything. Unless teams have seen that and played against it, it's hard to adjust to it in one game. The way I see LSU defensively is if you can't run plays against what LSU does defensively, you've got to make plays because they don't allow conventional offenses to do what they normally do because of the commitment to the switching. So in an NCAA tournament game, I think it's LSU's advantage to see how Michigan reacts to the switching defense. Now, Michigan can be more patient and throw the ball inside, but if they do recognize the switch, but LSU's also been good at defending that as well. But it goes back to that field goal stat. If you're winning the rebound stat, Coach Cascio knows this. If you win the rebound stat, that means you're guarding well and making the other team miss. You can't win the rebound stat if you're not making the other team miss. So it goes back. The field goal, everything plays off that field goal stat. If you're losing the field goal stat, you're not guarding well enough, and you're losing the rebound battle. So if LSU controls the field goal stat in this game today, it makes them miss and limits them to one shot, they got a chance here because we're good enough one-on-one to take people off the bounce, get to the rim, We have to recognize where the big guy is so he doesn't block our shots and kick it out to the appropriate shooter. But LSU's been good at that lately. So I just think defensively LSU's in a good place. I think the switching man-to-man, if Michigan hasn't seen that a lot, it's going to bother them. I just hope we get off to a little better start today than we did the other day against St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, and I'll echo the field goal percentage. That is the number one indicator in win and loss. And like Coach Brady said, so much goes into that, like rebounding. If you're getting offensive rebound putbacks, or if you're rebounding the first shot by your opponent, but also turnovers. So getting live ball turnovers obviously going to yield an easy basket. So really everything goes back to the field goal percentage. And then also talking about the switching, just the old adage is you want better players in March instead of better plays. So LSU switching everything. It's just kind of like Coach Brady said, they're not out pressuring the passing lanes, but they're still being disruptive by not letting you run your stuff. And when that shot clock starts to go down, you got to go play. And I think that's where LSU has some advantages, is we probably have better players than a lot of teams in the field.
Coach Cassio and Coach Brady here on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented daily by Go Chevrolet. Anything stand out to you? I was thinking about you a ton yesterday, Coach Brady, watching the Arkansas Texas Tech game with Chris Beard and that defensive effort for Texas Tech. That was a slugfest for 40 minutes. Anything jump out to you, or I'm sure a lot has jumped out to you? What has been some of the things that have jumped out to you through the first 4 days of the tournament?
Well, the unpredictability of what has gone on, and I think this transfer portal, COVID had a lot to do with the inconsistencies, but there's a lot of these mid-major teams, so to speak, and that's whether they like it or not, that's what they are. And winning these games, I think it's showing what college basketball is going to become. I think these guys transferring, switching schools, one and dones. I think it's going to be hard to maintain consistent winning, because players today, the rules are all about and for the players. I mean, they don't like what the coach said to them, or they don't like their minutes. They get to transfer to go to another school. I mean, that's going to open up a lot for players. And now you can sell it that, you can come here in the mid-majors, Loyola Chicago, they may go to Final Four. Who knows? Yeah. So you can get it done at a program like that. So I think college basketball is changing. I think some of the high major teams that were always there, it may change a little bit in that regard, give everybody else more of an opportunity. But this has been an exciting tournament. And getting back to Chris Beard, they missed 2 layups in the front end of a 1-and-1, or they'd have won the game. I mean, it's unfortunate that 2 layups now. I thought when the guy broke on the left-handed that was in, and for some reason didn't go in, and they missed the 1-and-1 before that. So just unfortunate. But, I'm a fan of his. I like the way he coaches. I think his players play for him, and he knows what he's doing. But getting back to LSU, they got a shot tonight. It's really going to be a fun game to call and a fun game to watch, I think.
You don't have the access to the team right now, just with the COVID restrictions that you usually do year in, year out, which I know that you love, just kind of the boots on the ground type reporting. But LSU does seem like that they are in a really good mental space. Can you pick that up from where you are, or at least the conversations that you've had with them, that in just watching them from this distance, it looks like Days looked very comfortable, Watford looked comfortable. They all looked very comfortable on Saturday.
Well, no doubt about it, and there's no question. And I'm not saying I have any influence or anything at all, but the couple of 3 texts that I have sent Will, I've complimented on. He's got his team in a really good place, and I said, whatever outside noise is out there, don't worry about it. The most important thing is his team and how it plays in the next game. The rest of the stuff don't even matter. Don't even listen to it. Don't let that be the focus and take away from your team. And I think he's done a great job with shielding his team from whatever the noise is, and they're focusing on their play in the next game. And he's got them in a great spot. I mean, in terms of how they feel about one another, how their confidence level is. They believe they're going to win the game. There's no doubt in my mind by the way they are, the way they approach it, how they look when they're on the floor. So I think it's going to be an exciting game tonight, and I'm excited about sitting there and watching it.
Wolverines are favored by 5. We'll get you out of here on this one. You have a feeling kind of going into it how this thing will play out?
I really don't. I just think it's something to follow, the rebound stat, the field goal stat, who fouls better, who plays better in the half court, and how Michigan handles LSU switching man-to-man defense. I think those are things to follow throughout the game. So I don't really have a feel for how it's going to go, but I love to sit and watch to see what I think may be the important things in the game for the team that wins, and see who, how it goes as it moves along. But I do think LSU over a 40-minute game has an opportunity to win this game against Michigan. Livers being out helps us a little bit. So I'm anxious. And I don't like to be anxious. I used to be anxious all the time, but I'm anxious about getting out there and watching the Tigers play.
5:40 will be the on-air time for Coach Brady and Chris Blair this afternoon as they come to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium, bringing you a round of 32 matchup between the number 8 seeded LSU Tigers and the top overall seed out of the East region, the Michigan Wolverines. Man, this is going to be exciting. It'll be a great hoop, and looking forward to hearing you on the call. Thank you, as always, for the time, Coach.
All right. Coach C, good to talk to you, man.
All right, Coach. Have a good one.
There is
okay, baby. All right.
John Brady checking in from Indianapolis this morning as we get set for LSU and Michigan. Remember, daily here on the Jordy Culotta Show, we're brought to you by Edward Jones. My good friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones can help you today and answer any questions that you may have about your finances. Whether it's post-work or right now, whether it's investments, 401k. We rolled the 401k over to Edward Jones and Daniel Newman. It's been very easy to work alongside Newman, and I always tell you, if you're working out in the plants this morning, if you're out in Dow, if you're out at Exxon, BASF, and you've got some questions about your financials, about how they may work post-work or when you get out, or you got some time that you want to go sit down and have a conversation with Daniel, email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's out in Central in the Magnolia Square. He's on Magnolia Square Drive right across from Stabs. Stop in and see him. Tell him you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show. But very easy to work with my guy Daniel Newman. Check him out online or email him at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. When you see Michigan play, and I know that you've scouted Michigan a little bit, Juwan Howard's done a fantastic job, in my opinion, in just his 2 years short term there, and just kind of restoring, not that he had to restore it because John Beilein did an excellent job of kind of bringing that program back to relevancy and making them a player again in the NCAA. But Howard's done a great job of maintaining that. When you see the Wolverines play, what do you see from them?
Definitely see some NBA influence. So, the one thing that sticks out from St. Bonaventure to Michigan is Michigan is going to get into their stuff really quickly in the half court. With the NBA with the 24-second clock.
Do they want to play faster, or do they want to walk it up?
They're only in transition about 11% of the time as far as scoring-wise, but they score more out of early offense. So I think if they're coming down and they're getting early shots, I think that's going to be difficult for LSU to hang on for 40 because they don't come down and set a whole lot of stuff up like LSU does. So they're going to flow seamlessly into their half-court stuff. Really, if you're watching at home and want some things to look for, they're going to get their point guard, Mike Smith, number 12, and then Hunter Dickinson, number 1, in as many ball screens as they possibly can.
And Dickinson and Thomas are probably two of the best freshmen in the country when you look at these two guys play. I mean, first-year players, they're as good as you'll find.
Yeah, and Coach Brady said 6'10". I think he might be more 7'1", 7 foot than 6'10". So, and Coach Brady referenced that a lot of post players haven't heard us yet. One concerning thing is we had Javonte Smart on 21 a lot just after the switches, and I think Michigan, of all teams in the tournament, are going to be really intentional about playing through the post. That's just what they do. I mean, they are force-feeding number 1, whether it's on just traditional post-ups or ball screen roll. They do a really good job of hitting the roll late. So typically, if the point guard takes more than one dribble off the bounce, he is just staring at one, trying to force-feed him on the roll. They do a lot of high-low stuff just to get number 1 a deep post catch. And number 1 is all left hand, so he's going to go to his right shoulder the whole time. I think if LSU really sits on that right shoulder and makes him use his right hand, we got a whole lot better shot than letting him get it where he wants it.
And you're talking about Hunter Dickinson,
Yeah,
who
number
is number one for them. And Dickinson is the true freshman that Coach Cassio was speaking about. As Coach Brady said, he's 6'11". He is listed as 7'1" on the roster, and he can play. He can play from just about anywhere. He's special, man. I mean, when you watch him play, he will catch your eye. He will be a one-year player in the NCAA game. He will be in the NBA next season. And as Coach said, a lot of NBA influence because Juwan Howard has been sitting on an NBA bench for a decade. He was one of the top assistants on that Miami Heat team with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and that crew. So he's got a ton of NBA experience that he brings over to the bench when you talk about his experience. Now Isaiah Liverts, the senior, the forward, being out. A lot of the stuff that they run through him, he had a stress fracture in his foot in the Big Ten tournament that's going to cause him to miss this action. What do they lose when you take him off the team?
Some size, obviously, but
6'7".
Yeah, and then just a shooter. I mean, he was I think he had 50 made threes at that point in the season when he went out. So he's definitely their best shooter. And Coach Brady mentioned that they shoot it well, but don't score as much from LSU, which is right on. They shoot like 39% as a team from three, which is really good. I mean, I think it's first in the Big Ten. But they don't take a lot of them. So I think about 35% of their shots are threes, and under Beeline, that was closer to like 45.
Yeah.
Some years, 50% of their shots were threes. So they're pretty selective, and I think that's huge because they're going to have to shift even more to playing inside with one of their best shooters missing. 21 can shoot it a little bit, but he's kind of a hesitant shooter, would rather shoot it off the bounce. They got a 3-and-D guy, number 15. And then number 55 is kind of like a backup point guard. He starts, but he plays the point when 12 is out. They'll all shoot it, but they're just missing that guy that they're always looking for to take the majority of those threes.
Yeah, Eli Brooks is the backup point guard of the point guard that sees the majority of the action, and then Franz Wagner is the guard that you're talking about running off screens, who's the foreign player out of Germany who can really shoot it. So you will see Michigan come at you in waves tonight. With their offensive sets and what they want to do in the half court. You're about 10 hours from this thing. How do you like it? How do you feel about it?
I got a good feeling. I watched their game against Texas Southern, Michigan's, and just Michigan didn't look dominant. They were kind of in control the whole time, but you would imagine a 1 versus 16 would be a little bit more dominant. And Johnny Jones's team kind of made a run there late. It was just a little bit too late, but. I think LSU just with their confidence, I think the one thing, just going to LSU practices in the past and just watching so much LSU basketball under Will Wade, his teams are always confident and they always play with swagger and they're always really physical, and I think they're going to be up for tonight. There's no what LSU team's going to show up anymore. It's March, so I think we're going to have a great effort tonight, and if we can keep it close and I would love to just be in control from the tip and just get like a 4 to 6 point cushion early just to take the pressure off the Tigers.
What's going on with the Bears right now? I kept up with you guys during the season, and I know this year was such a quirky year for everyone, right? In every industry, every trade, everybody that's come through here. We've talked about how COVID affected your day-to-day life, and I know as a coach it was very effective as you guys had to miss some time within the season. You guys couldn't practice in the off season. What was it like trying to run your program this past 365 days?
Challenging, man. It was I love the summertime with teams because the players can get into new roles. We didn't get any summer. We got quarantined, so we weren't able to do anything for 2 weeks, which is really tough. And honestly, we had a pretty good year, but the biggest thing that people are missing here is just a lot of the fun for the guys was taken out. No team dinners, no bus rides, no team retreats where you really get to that's the stuff that the guys will remember 20, 30 years later. So it was really all about basketball, which kind of made it feel a little bit more like a grind than it should. But we got a lot coming back. We played a lot of sophomores and juniors this year, so future's bright. Looking forward to getting in the weight room, get started with the off-season program.
One for our football crowd, because we've got Derek Stingley Sr. coming up here in a couple of minutes, and we're going to get his thoughts on LSU's first scrimmage from the spring. You've got a couple of football players that transition over to the basketball floor, but I think everybody's paying attention to Emory Jones, who is one of the top offensive linemen in the country. best offensive lineman, one of the best offensive linemen in the state, and a position of need for LSU football. You turn on his basketball film, and he looks a little bit like Glenn Davis. What is he like as a prospect and as a player?
Yeah, man, you mentioned one of the best offensive linemen in the state. He is one of the best kids in the state, too, man. Just awesome to be around. He loves basketball, so that's great for us. I mean, he loves being in the gym. The LHSA pushed back football season but didn't push back basketball, and then, we won a state championship, so we didn't get him until late. So it was tough kind of getting him in the mix. I think he only played in 9 games this season, but he was a guy that just such a big impact because he's a big body. When you see him in person, it'll catch you. So he was great for us. We also had Shelton Sampson on the roster too. He played in 1 game this year because he was battling injury off the state championship game, and in the 1 game he played, he kind of re-aggravated a little bit, but he's a sophomore, so those are 2 returners for us that we're excited about. Yeah,
Mark Cassio over at Catholic High School, one of the best basketball minds in our state. Been over there with the Bears for 8 years now, as he is the leader over there at Catholic High. Very much appreciate you coming out here this morning, man. Hopefully we can do this again. Remember, Coach Cassio is online. CoachCassio.com is where you can find his work. He's a coach consultant, as you've heard him break down the game here for the last 45 minutes. Very easy to follow, very easy to listen to. He's on Twitter at Coach Cassio. You can find Catholic High Basketball on Twitter at CHSBR Hoops, and look him up online, CoachCassio.com. And we'll be bringing you in throughout the tournament to get more insight, man. Appreciate it. Great to see you. Mark Cassio here with us for the first hour. We will knock that down, and then we will be back for hour 2. We'll talk to Derek Stingley Sr. coming up here in a couple of minutes, get his thoughts on that first first football scrimmage over the weekend, and we will make sure and break that down with Coach. Remember, Hub International Insurance, the official insurance agency of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans and the Jordy Culotta Show. Make Hub your insurance agency today over at Hub International. We come back, hour 2 of the Jordy Culotta Show rolling on. How confident do you feel about your streaming service? Do you know if you have the right gear or not? Is Facebook and YouTube consistently letting you down? I now present to you WSN Live. WSN can help your church, your team, your community bring everyone together for one streaming service where there's no more equipment guessing, broadcasts that your audience will absolutely love, and a support team that you will have around the clock. WSN Live.
Women are changing the game on and off the field. This week's episode of The Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro features Saints beat writer for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, Amy Just. Learn more about the amazing woman who digs deep into the stories surrounding the Houdat Nation. Catch our interview with Amy on the Gridiron Show YouTube channel. We're also giving away 20 units of Botox, courtesy of Johnson & Spiller's Dentistry, to one lucky winner. You can learn more about how to win on Episode 3 of the Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro podcast, now streaming on all podcasting platforms.
Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, 8 o'clock hour coming at you. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet. Stop in and see the boys down there in Laplace. I saw Dominic check in from Michigan this morning. as he's up there trolling the Wolverines. And but he's down at Go Chevrolet. Nick Richard and Lee Carney and the crew stopping and seeing Michael Divinity's down there. LSU baseball falls over the weekend. 2 of 3 taken from LSU by Mississippi State. Katie is gloating this morning.
When are you ringing the cowbell?
Never. I'm not. I thought that was Jason Ramazan.
It was you too.
Really?
Remember I made that basket Friday?
I don't.
Glossed right over that.
Nothing like LSU people
We're talking about
on
March
their
Madness.
I
words.
don't remember that at all.
Just par for the course.
All right, so good stuff from Mark Cassio, head coach over at Catholic High, as we talked a little LSU basketball. Tigers will take on Michigan this afternoon, and there are more sports happening. I know that we're focused a lot on the NCAA tournament, and we will get back to it, but LSU football over the weekend experienced their first spring scrimmage as the Tigers were inside Tiger Stadium going through about an hour and a half run through, and it seems like defensively was the storyline. Our guy every week that we talk LSU football with, or just talk all types of sports, football, Elite Football Academy, as they got it going on over there. It's life. He's a dad. He's a coach. Very relatable, and one of our good friends is Derek Stingley Sr., as he joins us back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
How much do you pay attention to the NCAA tournament?
I was peeking in on it from time to time. You know, I'm from Chicago, so that Loyola, Illinois matchup. You know, I know, man. That's crazy.
I'd never heard of Loyola Chicago until they made the run a couple of years ago. I mean, were they relevant were they relevant growing up for you?
No, they were not. Okay. You know, they just became hot a few years ago, of course. Yeah. You know, no one saw that coming from them against Illinois. So, you know, good for them, but it sucks for Illinois.
Don't ever let them tell you that coaching doesn't matter, because Porter Moser has done an incredible job of putting that program on the map and staying relevant within college basketball. I mean, look, I've made no secrets about it. I'm in love with Will Wade. He's one of my good friends. But, I mean, if anything ever happens to Wade, go get Porter Moser at LSU. He is a stud.
I know, man. That's good stuff.
All right, so LSU football. Last week they were on the field, and we were able to keep up with some video and keep up with what was happening on the practice field. It was a beautiful week as far as the weather went, so it was good to be outside. They were in Tiger Stadium on Saturday for their first scrimmage. Just give me your thoughts of them being back on the field last week. What did you make of seeing them back practicing?
I mean, overall, it looked like that everybody's buying in. It looked good. You know, I thought the defense made a bunch of plays. Didn't see any real big plays from the defense, or on the defense rather. Offense, they were okay. I mean, I thought that it was a 3-step quick game that they were putting in. They had a few crossing routes that they were able to get through over the defense, but overall, it was real good competition. You know, I think Big Cat came out again for the first time, so that was pretty cool to see some of that. You know, I thought one-on-ones were good. It was a bunch of guys out there competing. I thought one-on-ones was more so offensive, had the advantage. But when they went to 7-on-7, the team looked like defense was just a little bit ahead of them, just a little bit.
Is that usually the case, Coach, when you're talking about implementing both sides of the ball, when you talk about new coordinators on both defense and offense? When you talk about implementing your style, is it usual that the defense is a little bit more advanced than the offense?
Well, yeah, because with offense, everyone has to be, like, precise. You know, you got to make sure you run your route here and make sure the spacing is good, and you got to have that trust. On defense, it's more so reaction. It's like, you know, this is what they do. We're going to do this, or we're going to try to make them do this. But the first day of pads, which what it was, defense is going to always come out and be a little more aggressive. Now, in Big Cat, offense was more aggressive in pads. But when you're talking team and the run game and all that, now the defense, that they have a little advantage on the first day of pads. I think, you know, after this week, I think the offense will probably, you know, feel they'll get their feet back underneath them and probably have a better showing. I'm not saying they didn't have a good showing. I'm just saying that you could tell it was like about 60-40 defense when it went to team. And to me, that was a good thing, you know, because of the fact of what happened last year with some of the big plays being thrown on the defense. But it looked pretty good. I was impressed.
Who has the biggest opportunity this spring with Ricks being out?
I don't know, man, because, all those guys play. Because, Jay is out there on the other side of Derek, and Cordell is in the slot. But you get more reps.
Ward at corner? Do you? I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to get more of your thoughts. But just on Jay Ward, do you like him as a corner or more as a safety?
I think Jay can do it all. To be honest, Jay is a corner. He's a nickel and a safety guy. Now he hadn't had much reps as safety, but he can play it because he's so aggressive and he's just a downhill player. To be a corner, he's a true NFL cover 2 corner. Like he'll come up and try to take the running back out. He's one of those guys. So yeah, me personally, I like Jay everywhere. But I think with Rick's out, you getting guys that's getting more reps on the second team, like Dwight McLaughlin. You're getting Darius Jones. He's getting a lot of reps. And so is Darren Evans. So I think that helps those guys because they get to rotate in faster than what they normally would. But when it comes to Sting, Jay, and Cordell, those guys, they're all rotatable players from the first team. So I think once Eli comes back, I think it'll be a good rotation, which is what Corey always wanted from his corners and DB standpoint, to keep everybody fresh and just to make sure that you've got good guys out there when we need them out there, like fourth quarter, stuff like that. So yeah, so hopefully Eli's come back healthy and ready to go, and we'll be that much stronger as a unit.
Last year at this time, people were talking about the Jamar Chase, Derek Stingley matchup on the practice field. It looks like Chase is going to be a top 4 draft pick this season. Stingley will be a top 4 draft pick next year. Who's the matchup on the practice field that everybody stops and watches now?
I don't know. With the new coordinator, with Coach Jones, I think everybody's watching everybody. They want to see who's going to step up, this year. You kind of watch Sting and you see him and Kayshawn going up against each other a little bit more than everyone else. And I don't know if that's the matchup to watch, but me personally, I like to watch Cordell play from the nickel. He's just making so many plays from the nickel position right now. He's getting his hands on some balls. He's making some good plays. I've seen him catch a few interceptions this week. So that's for me to see that part, because on the outside, you're going to have Sting, you're going to have, Elias, you're going to have possibly Jay, whoever. You're pretty much sure about those 2 guys, like possibly Jay. But that nickel position, it was a little uncertainty there. And to see Cordell just step up and do the things that he's been doing in practice, it's a good thing. It's great to see.
Same question on Flott that I asked you on Ward. You like him better inside? Does he seem more comfortable there?
Well, once again, I think, Cordell came in as a corner. Right. And then, we had to play someone at the slot position because when Kerry Vincent opted out, that kind of left the void for us right there. But because of that, Cordell's been getting a lot of reps at nickel, but he's a true corner as well. So, we can move guys. They can move guys around as much as they like. That's just the coach speaking.
Yeah, I know what it is. Yes, indeed.
They can move guys around as much as they like, because then it just gives you more options. The old saying, the more you can do, the better. So that if we're in a situation, if Cordell needs to go to corner, which that happened a few times, he can go right there, and you're not skipping a beat. Me personally, I love him at the nickel right now. I think that now he's coming into his own. He's really understanding the position. And then with Coach Jones, he knows where his help is coming from. They're getting coached up, their position a little better. They're understanding the defense. So it's not, although balls may be caught, but there's not like guys running away from guys with balls being caught. So as long as you make a tackle right there, you kind of eliminate the yards after the catch, I think you're doing a decent job, and that's what we're seeing right now.
You are very well respected as a coach, whether it is in the elite training at the Elite Football Academy or at the Dunham School, where you coach defensive backs and the defensive side of the ball. What have you made of some of these new coaches and just watching them work out there?
You can see the energy, you can see the attention to detail. They brought a lot of new individual drills to the individual part of practice, to where it's working on their skill set. they're making sure that the players understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. It's not like just let's run through this and let's do regular drills that you've been doing probably since high school. No, they're developing the guys. I can see that if a player don't get it, they'll stop and go through it, and they'll even run through it themselves. They'll be demonstrating. So stuff like that helps, especially with new coaches, because then the players see that you really got their best interests in mind, and you're out there trying to make them better, and that's what those players want, always, and that's what they're getting.
Things getting back to normal for you guys as coaches on the field?
Man, well, you still if you're talking about the Dunham School,
or just your day in day out activity at elite football and at Dunham.
Oh well, yeah, at elite, yeah, we're getting guys coming through the door. There's now we got a lot of regulars. Now people are starting to know that the gym exists, and we're getting calls daily on, session times and dates and things like that. I think the summer is going to be probably huge for us because, once school is out, everybody has a little more time, and it's probably going to be, working more hours. Right now we're kind of like from 3 to 9 o'clock because, the kids are still in school or they're in some form of practice, whether it's track or whatever else they may be doing. But come the summertime, we know that the time is going to be available for those kids to come out early. So yeah, I mean, it's busy, which is good, so I'm excited about it.
Elite Football LA is where you find them on social media. It is a training that is designed solely for football by one of the brightest football minds that we offer in our state. Derek Stingley Sr.'s over there with a cast of great trainers. Whether you want to play defensive back or whether you want to play running back or quarterback, they can get you trained today over at Elite Football Academy. Elite Football LA is where you find them on social and all over the place, and you hear Coach Sting every Monday morning right here with us. Thank you as always. Enjoy your week. We'll talk to you again next Monday.
All right, Jordy.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you later.
There he is, Coach Sting checking in just like he does every week here on the Jordy Culotta show. As it's good to hear from him. It's good to hear some of the outlook there on the defensive backfield as Jay Ward. I'd imagine that Jay Ward is right now he's at that threshold where, I mean, he's
breaking out.
He's ready to break out because, I mean, he's trying to kind of find his way throughout the last 2 years. I mean, remember, he played in that 2019 team. And, I mean, I know as a true freshman, when you think about that 2019 team out loud, how good they were and how many guys that you see playing on Sunday, Ward was one of those true freshmen that got in and played significant time. I mean, made some key plays against Alabama in that game, a big tackle across the middle that Ward was able to make. And then last season you saw some of the big plays that he made. But now hearing Coach Sting there in that conversation that they're finding a comfortable spot for him day in, day out that he can practice, prepare, and get better at. I think that Ward is one of those guys that you can tab as a breakout player going in to next football season. And then Cordell Flott settling in there at that nickel position. That's a spot that LSU was very untrustworthy towards last season. So if they can get that figured out in spring, that would be that'd be a big get, or at least a big piece of information there that they could take care of early on that you don't have to worry about in fall. Daily, we're brought to you by Elevate Treatment and Legacy Center. Elevate Treatment and Legacy Center is dedicated to treating patients who are battling drug and alcohol addiction. Their goal is to guide you in your steps towards recovery and help you achieve and maintain sobriety. Over at the Treatment Center, they're based in Baton Rouge. They provide treatment of addiction disorders, behavioral illnesses in adults, and they can help you with medically assisted detox. Online, elevatetreatment.com. That's ELEV, the number 8, treatment.com. So elevatetreatment.com. Get online. This is a tough decision. When you're alone, when you're at your office, you get to your spot, you can log online and see how Elevate Treatment Center can help you or a loved one today. Online, elevatetreatment.com. That's ELEV, the number 8, treatment.com to get in touch with Elevate Treatment Center. Appreciate Coach Sting for stopping by just like he does every week here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Chris Jarrell asks inside of the bunker, whose bracket is busted? Everybody's but Katie's, Chris's. Everybody but Katie.
Who
But
knew?
Katie has Illinois in the championship
I did.
game,
Yeah.
which at some point is going to have to bite her. But she also had Oral Roberts, and she had who else did you have?
Loyola.
No, she had Abilene Christian.
Yeah, Abilene
Oh,
Christian.
that's what it was. Yeah.
which is a
Yeah.
That's an even
huge
crazier call.
Yeah, that is a.
No, I
that's
just
a
felt it. I was
wackier-
feeling
sure.
it. Like I said, it was a vibe. Hey, are people allowed to watch the scrimmage games?
No,
Not at all.
no, not at all.
When can they? Just like the first
Spring
spring,
game.
game?
Yeah,
That's
it'll
not.
be
That's a
But will
glorified.
they have like
April 17th.
Will
I think.
people be able to watch because of COVID?
They'll
like,
be able
will
to
that-
watch on television because
but
it'll be
not live?
I don't know what the I don't know what that's going to be, but I'd imagine with the 50% capacity now at
Yeah,
baseball
it seems
games
like they
that would
allow
carry
some,
over.
right?
That
Band's
would,
going to be there.
that would carry over. Band's going to be there.
Oh, that's
At
good
the-
news.
That's
at
good
the
news.
spring game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Full band or limited?
Bengal brass size.
Okay.
Pep band.
Okay. So I mean,
No drums? Is that drums?
Drum line, yeah.
So you'll be there.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Hope so.
Okay. We gotta come watch Nikki.
So that is good news that the band will be at the spring games. So I imagine with what you've seen, the capacity. You went to the box over the weekend.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was good.
What games did you go to?
Saturday.
Okay, so that was probably a
So
good one to go
was,
to.
It was packed, man. It was the most packed I've seen the student section since things started happening.
So
Yeah, I
like
looked
looked
at-
like a legit 50%.
Yeah, I mean student
So what is
section
that,
I would
like-
say would be above.
What is that? 5,000 people?
It was
5,000?
a lot of people were there.
Okay.
Anybody
That's
get
good.
kicked out?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Keep
Yeah.
that train going.
You saw
But
it?
Someone gets kicked out every
Yeah,
time
the
I
right
go.
field, they've been getting
Yeah.
loose up there.
What do you do? Throw something on the field to get kicked out?
No, just saying stuff. People would just be
Acting a
saying
fool.
Saying
like
stuff.
bad stuff.
People are,
yeah.
people are
Saying
soft.
stuff.
Teed them up.
Saying
Got them
What
out
do
of
you mean
here.
Like, what did they
stuff?
say?
You're
I
a
mean,
student section.
like profanities
Okay.
and stuff.
Like towards the other players.
towards
Yeah,
the
they're
right
heck-
field.
yeah, they're
Like
heckling
we
the
all
right
heckle
fielder.
the right fielder,
Sure.
and some people just go way too far with it and just say stuff that.
So
doesn't
does he
need to be
turn
said.
y'all in, or does the umpire hear it and throw you out?
No, just that they have security people posted
there's
up
The
at
yellow
the
shirts.
bottom,
The yellow
and
shirts.
they're-
Got you.
and they'll get
The
a
yellow
cop
coats.
to escort the person out. Yeah.
Those people usually take their job very
Very
seriously.
seriously.
Very, very seriously.
I mean, how would you even? Obviously, you do if you're going to apply for it. Nobody
Yeah.
wants that job.
nobody wants it. You're
Somebody
right.
does.
I mean, your back's to the action.
It's a thankless job.
Still, though.
That is very much a thankless job. Okay, we're going to talk to Cody Worsham here in 30 minutes or 15 minutes, as he will be here at 8:30 this morning, and talk to him about a little bit about LSU baseball, but want to talk more to Worsham about this LSU basketball and the Tigers tipping it off against Michigan this afternoon. I'll be giddy all day.
I mean, how can you not be?
I mean, this is
6 o'clock tip,
This
too,
is
that's
as
perfect.
good as it gets, man. I mean, there is a game at 11 o'clock this morning. Did I see where Oregon and
I mean, Oregon's got to play at some point.
God, what a terrible story for VCU. I hate that. But if was I looking at the schedule that says that Oregon does play this morning? I know that a lot of
Is it 12:45?
the games start this afternoon, but it is going to be interesting. Let me get you a schedule to make sure. Oregon and Iowa tip off at 11:10 a.m. This morning.
go.
Full day.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Dude, and still no work getting done.
Oklahoma. Okay, all these times are Central Standard Time. So Oregon, Iowa. Here's today's schedule for you. Oregon and Iowa tip off at 11:10 on CBS. Oklahoma and Gonzaga tip off at 1:40 on CBS.
I picked Gonzaga.
Thank you.
And I picked
number one
Oregon.
overall
And I
seed.
picked Oregon.
Okay, so you got Oregon and Gonzaga.
Yeah.
You got Abilene Christian versus UCLA at 4:15 on TBS. Who you got there? No way you're
UCLA.
right. No
UCLA.
way. No way you're riding Abilene
No,
Christian twice.
UCLA.
Okay, then Ohio versus Creighton at 5 o'clock. That'll be on TNT. Ohio, another huge upset over the weekend.
Joey Brackett's is
Shout
very
out to
exciting.
Joey Burrow
Creighton.
and the crew up in Athens. Athens looked like a place to get down on the get down on Saturday night.
I have Creighton.
Little
You got
Skyline
Creighton there?
late night.
Yeah.
Okay. LSU, Michigan, 6:10 this afternoon on CBS. Who you got there?
LSU.
Do you really? Big eyeballs, lying. Colorado and Florida State, 6:45 TBS. That'll be at you this afternoon.
Colorado.
All right. Maryland, Alabama, a 10-2 matchup. Bama, the 2 seed taking on the 10th seeded Terps. And then tonight, the late game will be Southern California, who is long. Andy Enfield's team is they look great getting off the bus. USC will be taking on Kansas at 8:40 tonight on CBS. So LSU, the
Kansas.
6:10 matchup, 6:10 this afternoon, as they will tilt versus Michigan.
Might have to go to Phil's and catch that game.
Be a great place to
I
post
took
up
the
and watch
family
it.
to Phil's yesterday, not knowing that they closed at 4.
Oh,
so
Sunday
we pull up at like
matinee.
6:30, and there's 2 other cars there too, like pulled up to the door looking in.
Great brunch menu over at Phil's on
Yeah.
Sunday if you want to check him out. But Anthony and the crew were up in Indiana on Saturday watching that game. They'll be flying back today for the matchup this afternoon at 6 o'clock. Did you see Dan Wilkins' latest hack piece?
Oh my God,
on Will Wade? You know what the most surprising part on this was for me was that what took him so long.
Yeah, this is right up his alley.
I mean, LSU had been at the tournament for over a week. It took you until Sunday to write this
Well,
thing?
writer's block for Dan.
I mean,
dude,
Danny,
you're
what
lazy.
the hell you been doing, man? But we do appreciate the shout out to the Jordy Culotta show inside
know.
of
Let's
that
go, Dan.
inside of that hack
All press
piece.
is good press.
Old Dan Wokey walking as he was going in on Will Wade because that's just what he does. You can just go ahead and exchange the date for this and slide in the 2021 year. But over the last 3.5 years, it's been the same piece he's written every single year, waiting on integrity in the sport of college basketball. Dan, did you see our guy Pat Forty's tweet yesterday about the 3 teams that were leaving? Were the 3 coaches that wore their mask the least? Chris Beard. He was talking about. I mean, just these guys, man. Just something to bitch about. Just give me something to bitch about. This crew with Walken, 40, Thamel. Walken has got the latest hack piece up at LSU talking about poor Will. It must be so hard to be him, having suffered absolutely no consequences for the past 2 years while his program remains in NCAA limbo, collecting his $2.5 million salary, continuing to get blue chip recruits, and having to turn on his phone after a game and learn that Dickie V is maybe the only person in Wade's orbit who isn't willingly ignoring reality. Dan, man. It's got to be a lonely island over there with you and 40 and Thamel. It's got to get real cold at night when you're talking and sitting around talking about everybody's got to be supporting us, right? Everybody's got to be seeing our angle, right? We got to continue to talk about college basketball being one of the cleanest sports and one of the most one of the best sports that's run out there as far as integrity goes. I mean, these guys, how close do you have to be to this sport to really realize the whole thing's infected? The whole thing's been infected for decades. And how many times do you have to write the piece on Wade to figure out all this stuff has been vetted? I mean, you can keep going back to the wiretaps and to the teams in the wiretaps. But for whatever reason, the NCAA has come out and they've ruled on Auburn. They've ruled on Kansas. They ruled on Arizona. But for whatever reason, they continue not to rule on LSU. Now, that is in front of an independent counsel right now, and that may come down with a hammer on the Tigers. That might happen. Could. I'm not sitting here and saying that it won't. But up to this point, it hasn't. Can we move on? Can we talk about something else from LSU's standpoint? At what point do you just say, you know what? I guess they've gone through the process. I guess they've talked to so many investigators and so many people. LSU's compliance department, how many times have you, the fan, or me, the media member, or fringe fan with a mic, have complained about LSU's compliance department? Seriously, how many times have you at your tailgate wondered why an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman can't play in Saturday's game because he's suspended or that he's violated team rules or whatever the term that they use at LSU? That's nothing but LSU's compliance department crawling up that program's ass and telling them specifically that this player can't play because of X, Y, or Z. And within the structure of the SEC, LSU's compliance department has a reputation for being stricter than any. So when I saw Javonte Smart playing 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, after this stuff started, what told me was the thing that the siren that went off in my head is that they got nothing. They got absolutely nothing. They have nothing that they can hold LSU to the fire with. They've got nothing substantial that they're saying, here's the smoking gun. If you play smart, you're going to lose every game that he steps the floor on. because LSU's compliance department is that person. They're going to be overly cautious rather than ask for forgiveness. They're just not going to let a player come out there that may or may not be eligible. This is the same department that threw Tyrann Mathieu out of school. A Heisman finalist. The best player in college football. On a team coming back where he would have been the face of the preseason number 1 team in the country. They chunked him off the team in August of 2012. A lot of those people running that department are still there. So we can debate, we can go back and forth, and we can talk about what was on tape and what they said and the strong-ass offer and all that BS. We can keep talking about it. 2.5, 3 years later, and you can still keep writing your clickbait columns that everybody in a section of the country or a section of that sport wants to read. But they want to just keep bringing it up and bringing it up because they want to try and get the public relations department moving against Will Wade and LSU. This is my theory, is that the NCAA have guys like Thamel, Walken, 40 on their speed dial. And they say, guys, we got no traction. We got no evidence. We got nothing that's going to stick on LSU. But what we do is we hate that SOB Will Wade. And he keeps rubbing it in our face. So we got to come up with some type of PR-generated monster to see if we can attack this guy and just get the tide rolling in his direction where he can't fight the PR monster that's coming his way and that LSU's just going to say, you know what? Get this guy out of here. It's become too much. There's too much public relations bullshit that we got to deal with around Wade. Just get him out of here. And for whatever reason, and I think it's because Wade has great representation, where he's told the powers that be, if you do make that move, you better make sure you got the evidence. And up to this point, there's no evidence. And that's what Walken, 40, Thamel, all these guys won't say out loud, but it just it turns and grinds their gears as much as any topic as they've ever written about, debated, or talked publicly on. Because when it comes down to it, you can talk about the wiretaps and the reputation and what people think about Wade, but when you got to come out and say the facts, you got none of them. There's nothing to point at Will Wade and said he did this on that date where he paid that guy. And that's just it. So they continually write these pieces, right? Wait till tomorrow's. Wait if they win.
Tomorrow, this afternoon. It's going to be out at 9.
I mean, wait until if they win tonight. And they got to make a seat at the table for Willie Wade in the Sweet 16, where he's going to be the favorite.
Does everyone in here, are you advancing LSU to the Sweet 16 since I had to have my bracket allowed?
Yeah, I got him going to the Elite 8.
What's everybody else doing?
I got him the Final Four, baby.
You do?
I got him in the Elite 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I like them tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, like, take my bias out of it, right? Which I can't do. But when you just look at the matchup on paper of LSU and Michigan and where they are right now, now this is going to be a hell of a game. You know, I mean, this is going to be a heavyweight fight. But when you're talking about Darius Days, Javonte Smart, and Cameron Thomas right now, with Darius Days and Trenton Watford and Javonte Smart and Andre Hyatt giving you minutes like that, and the confidence that LSU's playing with, you heard Jay Billis, if you watched it on ESPN this morning, everybody nationally is scared to death of LSU if they get right. Yep. Because they know they have an NBA roster or an NBA talented type roster. They're playing right. They look confident. Their head coach looks relaxed.
They look comfortable.
They look very comfortable in where they are. If I'm Juwan Howard in Michigan, I'm sweating my ass off today about this matchup. Because you got a confident team that is playing up LSU versus the world. LSU versus everybody. I mean, you heard what John Brady said an hour ago, and some of the text messages that he shared with Will Wade up to this point. He's been very complimentary to Wade on where the mental state of his team is right now, and I think that goes in a very complimentary role to their head coach. I've never seen any head coach utilize off-the-floor remedies like he does as far as sports psychology, health and nutrition, therapists for his players. Everything that goes into the mental preparation, the mental development of his team, Will Wade is in tenfold. He's all in on that part of it. And sometimes you can debate whether or not that works or whether that's a waste of time or resources and money. But in my opinion, I think that commitment to that has paid off for this group right now. Even the coaches. Even Wade. I mean, as soon as they won that game on Saturday, I sent him a text message. Bleeping, kick their bleeping mouth. Let's go. Right back, I mean, like that night. Got to get to Monday, on to the next one. I mean, their head is in a spot where they've been out of whack and been in some disarray at this point and through points this season. But at the right time, in March, right now, they're playing and brimming with confidence and going into a matchup where they got to feel really good about. Livers isn't on the floor. They can match up and score. I mean, we can talk to Cody Worsham about it here. And Worsham's great in talking to LSU basketball. But I just love where they are going into the matchup. Yo, bro, we're live. Good morning. How are you?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. This is a great day. It's just a great weekend. This is one of those days where hopefully we can remember and talk about for a long time, because when you got a dog in the hunt in March, it's as great of time that you will find on the sports calendar. And I was just saying, Cody, take my bias out of it, and I'm extremely biased. But I love LSU when you just look at these two teams on paper going into the 6 o'clock tip-off. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with your first point. You kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. I'm sitting here thinking about trying to do a quick podcast right before the game, and, you know, the first thought that came to mind was just how special this time of year is when you're in the mix. It's a feeling that I think is unfamiliar for a lot of LSU basketball fans, because, you know, I did some of the number crunching over the weekend. I think it was from 2007 to 2018, 2 tournament appearances, 1 win. So it's a pretty long dry spell. And you know, you were there, Jordy, in the 90s. It was kind of like that in the 90s there after 93 or so. And so it's been few and far between. It's been, as Will Wade described it when he got here, you know, a lot of peaks, but a lot of valleys too, with LSU basketball. And so for them to have this consistent run of late has been just great. It's just great to have that feeling and know, you know, watch your team and then they win a game in March, and then it's possibility, right? It's all the possibilities of, oh, they could win here, they could get this matchup, they could do this. And so to your second point, I agree. You know, Michigan's really good. Okay, they're a 1 seed for a reason. I'm not saying anything that's breaking any news here. One of the best offenses and defenses in the country combined. But it is that kind of matchup that LSU's been pretty good in. They do play it a little bit slower, and LSU's been pretty good against those slower style teams. They're good on the glass, but they're not dominant on the glass. And their defense doesn't force a ton of turnovers, and so you could kind of see how LSU could get into a rhythm and could do some things offensively, not dissimilar to St. Bonaventure. It's kind of like the way that St. Bonaventure played, but maybe a little bit more beefed up size wise. So the difference is they're battle tested. They've got a true big in the middle that could cause some problems for LSU, kind of like Florida did earlier in the year. Dickinson's better than Castleton from Florida. But I think LSU, you know, talent for talent, pound for pound, especially this time of year when it's really about the 5 that are on the floor and the depth isn't as big of a concern. Yeah, I really like this matchup for LSU, considering all the possibilities they could have had as an 8 seed. I think it's a good one.
You know, Wade, in this program is as good as anyone in covering it over the last 4 years. Can you talk about the resources that he uses for the mental preparation and development for his team and players? Because as I was saying coming into the interview, I believe that could be debated throughout the year on whether or not that is a waste of resources and time. But I believe that this is paying off, the commitment to that at this point of the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, he invests in the psychology of his team, unlike any other coach I've ever been around. You know, Dr. Joel Fish is always around. Every picture I've seen so far in March, he's been there. He's one of the best sports psychologists in the country. And so he's got his finger on the pulse of this team better than anybody. And that's been Will's approach from day one. I mean, you go back to the day that I followed him around, it's his first year here. He probably spent 30 minutes on the phone with Dr. Fish just going over, how should I treat this kid? Should I be a little harder on him today, or should I take it easy on him? You know, I really want to bring some more out of this kid. How, should I move him up into the first team, or should I keep him back and make it battle? I mean, those conversations happen every day of every year for Coach Wade. But it's not just Dr. Fish. You know, Greg Graber, you're very familiar with his work, does a lot of the mindfulness and meditation with the team. This year they've got a whole, I think they call it a performance team, a mental performance team with Dr. Fish and Greg, and Bruce Buggs here at LSU helps out with that. So, I mean, they're as locked in on that aspect of the game as any team I've ever seen. And that's been the case with Will in years past. But, when they made the run a couple years ago, the Sweet 16, that was a priority. But this year it's even more emphasized. And I think it's huge in any year. I think it's huge this year with all the COVID challenges and just how bizarre everything is. And, this team, I think, is as strong there as they've been at any point in the season. And when they hit that rough patch, they lost 4 or 5 or so, a lot of teams would have folded at that point. A lot of teams would have lost track mentally. And I think we saw some signs of that at points this year with different guys looking like, man, where's this guy's head at? But when it matters most, which is in March, where we're in the thick of it now, they've all gotten their heads on straight, and they're all pulling in the same direction, which is invaluable.
What did Andre Hyatt's performance mean on Saturday, and where does he fit in, and what does he have to be going into today, and if they can get on a run here?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. He gave them so many extra possessions with his offensive rebounding, which is something that he brings to the table. At that 3 spot, that he had 4 offensive rebounds against Alabama in the game before, and then 7 against St. Bonaventure. So, extra possessions, and he can step out and knock down a 3 if you need him to. I think defensively, he really takes this team to a different place because of his ability to be switchy. He can really guard 1 through 4 and 1 through 5 if you need him to. He's just so smart and instinctive defensively. He's in the right spot. And there's certain matchups where maybe he's not the best fit. Against Arkansas, he only played 6 minutes. That's a faster tempo, higher tempo game. And maybe in those higher tempo games, he's not the best fit there. But I think in these really slow, grind him out games, he can sit down and guard in the half court. Offensively, he moves the ball. He's such a good fit with that big 4 because he moves the ball. It doesn't stick in his hands. And you saw how smart he is, right? I think he missed his first couple threes, and he kind of he said, all right, I'm going to back it down in the post. But he didn't back it down in the post to throw up a bad shot. He backed it down in the post to draw some defense, and kicked it out, moved the ball. So real high IQ player, but a real selfless player, too, the kind of player that every good team needs. He can give you 32 minutes if you need. He can give you 6 minutes if you need. Whatever you need him to do, he's going to do. So I think that's going to be his role. I don't think it's a numbers thing against Michigan. I don't think he needs to get another double-double. But just go out there, move the ball, be in the right spot defensively, and make whatever play is available to you. A lot of teams have started to scout toward Hyatt and say, okay, we're gonna take away whoever that 5th guy is for LSU. We're gonna make him beat us. But Hyatt, he's so good at that because he doesn't have to shoot it or even make the assist to be that guy that beats you. He can go set a good screen. He can reverse it really quickly and flash through the paint and cut to the rim. He just does a lot of small things well that makes life easier on those other 4 guys.
Cody Worsham joining us here, sports digital media reporter over at LSU and a resident hoophead here on the Jordy Culotta Show. What do you think about this matchup this afternoon? Tigers are 5-point dogs. That feels like a lot, but when you stack these 2 teams up side by side, how do you feel about Michigan versus LSU at 6 o'clock on a Monday?
Well, I like that the Big Ten is struggling a little bit in the tournament. I don't know if that's a sign of something or not. But you look at Michigan down the stretch, and they've struggled. 3 of their losses have already come in March. 3 of their 4 losses are in March. They're not playing their best basketball right now. That's usually irrelevant this time of year. I don't want to say it's irrelevant. It's usually not causative or correlation. Teams play bad all the time in March, in their conference tournaments and the end of the regular season, and then make a run in the tournament. So that's not necessarily a sign that they're going to play poorly against LSU, but you'd rather that than a blazing hot team, right? So I think I think the toughest matchup is Dickinson in the middle because of his ability to just kind of sit in the paint, take up space, and he's a unicorn. He's 7'1", 255. LSU doesn't have that kind of body, and so I'll be curious what the X's and O's matchup is there for LSU. Do they put Watford on him or Days on him, and then does a Josh Gray come in off the bench and give you a few minutes, or do you just stick with what you do best and try to stretch him out on the other end and go at him defensively there? They do a good job. Michigan does a good job of kind of hiding him. I don't want to say hiding him defensively, but scheming around his abilities defensively. And they could go small too. They could play Wagner and other guys and go to smaller bigs there. They've got 4 or 5 bodies that LSU just doesn't have. But LSU can neutralize that with a lot of what they do, and that's what makes LSU tough. And I'll be curious. The thing that gave St. Bonaventure so much problem was LSU switching, and when you switch like that, it's hard to run your offense through screens, which is what St. Bonaventure wanted to do. And so I'm curious if Michigan tries to go that route, or if they play a little more one-on-one game and kind of play what LSU wants to play and just try to beat them one-on-one across the court. It's gonna be an interesting tactical matchup. I think Will Wade's got some things that he can go to that can give Juwan Howard some questions to answer. I think the biggest thing is just Michigan shoots the three so well, and they space out around Dickinson so well that's really where you could get hurt. St. Bonaventure had some open looks. They didn't make some open looks. They missed some open ones. LSU played well defensively, but there were some open looks there to make. And if Michigan gets hot, starts hitting threes, that could be a trouble for LSU.
The majority of the world hates the organization in the NCAA, but how great is this product?
It's unbelievable. It speaks for itself. Jordy, like I was saying at the beginning of the interview, I grew up in, my peak basketball fandom was, 94 to 2003, kind of when I was going from elementary school to high school. And LSU just wasn't competitive at basketball. So I was just disinterested in LSU basketball. I didn't dislike LSU basketball. I just didn't have any interest because they weren't as good. And so what I'm excited about is the kids right now that are in that age group and they're basketball fans at Baton Rouge. Like, they've got something to buy into and to watch and believe. And that's the other thing. Will and his program are so invested in this state. Like he says at every interview, Louisiana Strong, boot up. They're bought into this place. They reflect a lot of the values of this place, the toughness, the resiliency, the blue collar mentality, which is great. And that's exciting for the community to be able to find that connection there. It's hard for basketball to break through here. It's hard for basketball to break through the noise that, football draws all the attention. Baseball is always great. It's hard for basketball to get a foothold. They've got a foothold right now, and that's exciting. And the feelings of anticipation for the game tonight they're rare. They're special. I hope everybody out there's feeling them. I hope everybody's enjoying them. Hopefully they can extend beyond today too.
How do you like it? How do you feel about the matchup?
I feel good about it. I really like LSU's chances. I go back to when they made the run a couple years ago to the Sweet 16, and I was really confident they were going to beat Yale and Maryland. Michigan State, I didn't feel good about that. Michigan State was so mature. They had so many veteran players and then talented youngsters too, and they had depth. And I didn't love LSU's chances in that game. I feel better about this matchup. I feel better about this one because I think LSU is the kind of team, knock on wood, that's kind of built for March. I think, I haven't even mentioned his name yet, but Cam Thomas, you saw it in the second half, the way he played. I think he's got some of that in him. When the lights come on and they're the brightest, he kind of rises to the occasion and becomes his best. So I'd love to, look, if he scores 20 points in a half again, that'd be great. But I'd love to see him continue to attack and really facilitate. I thought his passing and his playmaking early really got LSU going. And then Javonte Smart's going to play better. He didn't play poorly, but he just didn't have to score a bunch. He's going to play better. I feel really good. If we always talk about Days and him being the X factor, I just feel like the 7 guys that are going to be in the rotation tonight are going to give you their best basketball. And if they do that, I think that's enough to beat Michigan. And get into the Sweet 16, which would be really exciting.
Podcasts are titled Tigers Win, Boot Up, and Hey Fightin' Podcast, and you can all check out at lsusports.net. He is the host and the digital media reporter over there, Cody Worsham. Give me one take on LSU baseball this past weekend versus Mississippi State.
The one take would be that I'm really impressed with Landon Marceau and AJ Levis and what they're giving you on Saturday and Sunday. And if they keep giving you that, you're going to be just fine. I do think Jaden Hill will come around. I think he'll get in a rhythm. And I'm not too worried about the bat. This is as good a staff as you're going to face. You saw it on Sunday. They broke out. I think Maneri's starting to try to find that lineup, that best combination of lineup. And maybe you saw it on Sunday with Travinsky in there and with Cruz in the 3-hole. But if Landon Marceau especially, but AJ Levis as well, keeps giving you that every weekend, you're going to win more series than you lose, and you're going to sweep a few. So I'm optimistic about them. Are they going to win the SEC this year? I don't know. It's really, really top-heavy. But are they a team that can, host a regional and be in the mix to make a run in Omaha? Yeah, I think they've got those ingredients.
Boot up, Cody. Let's go, man. Thank you for your time.
Boot up, baby.
Yes, sir. We'll talk again soon.
Let's go.
All right, man.
All right.
Later. There's Cody Worsham checking in from LSU as he's a digital media reporter over there. Remember, coming up today, our latest edition of the Gridiron Show with Whitney Bro. Abby Alonso will be in following us up. They've got a great sit-down with Amy Just, who is a sports reporter over at NOLA.com. Amy is a great storyteller as far as her work goes in covering sports and just bringing you kind of the frontline news as she does over at NOLA.com. She's covered everybody here in South Louisiana, from the Saints, the Pelicans, to LSU. Right now she's on the Saints beat over at NOLA.com. Amy Just will be the latest guest for Whit and the crew over at the Gridiron Show. Make sure you are keeping up with the Gridiron Show on all social media platforms. There was our guy, Cody Worsham, checking in from LSU Sports. Can't wait to get to 6 o'clock this afternoon as Worsham, a hoop head, and of course we'll be reacting to that tomorrow morning. Remember, over at Manscaped, the Lawnmower 3.0 comes inside of their brand new Perfect Package 3.0, which comes with everything you need to keep trimmed, cut free, and smelling nice down there. Hopefully you don't trim your facial hair with the same trimmer.
Ask. Do you not?
I absolutely did.
You did too.
I absolutely did, but
Wait,
now
you
that
use the same one?
I did, but now that I've got a Manscaper, I've now used the former trimmer.
Okay, got it.
as just
Pecking
the face
order has
beard.
changed.
Is that a
That's
thing,
right.
though? Is that a thing? Like, you don't
I'd
use the
imagine
same
that
one?
I was probably in the majority.
Depends on who you talk to. Yeah,
show of
man.
hands in the room. Do
Okay.
you trim your face? Is the same thing you trim your body with?
Yeah, it's like use the.
You got two
use
separate ones? Always.
See,
Nick, how about you, the college kid? Yeah, for sure, man. I mean,
separate
Michael's on he's in the minority on this. But you become in the majority if you get over to manscaped.com and use the promo code JCShow. That's 20% off and free shipping. You'll get the lawnmower. Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0 includes
You only
the
get
crop
that 20%
preserver.
off through March,
That
by
is
the way.
right.
You got to
That
get
is
in
right.
there and get it now.
Get over today. Support Manscaped by using the JC Show promo code. That is 20% off and free shipping once you use that at manscaped.com. JC Show. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com.
So is he using 2 bars of soap also?
Who's that?
Mikey. Like, where do you draw the line on which one? Like, and it starts
that's a good
to
question.
in the shower.
That's a good question.
Okay. No, what I'm saying, when you go in the shower, do you have 2 bars of soap? One is for below the waist, and one is above the waist.
Right.
So I'm saying, what's the difference?
I hear you, bro.
Yeah.
I hear you.
It's
I mean, I had to wash my my wash rag in a week and a half.
Oh,
Yeah, so
God.
just it's in there.
No.
Depends on what I'm doing.
That's right. So good show today. That flew by. With today's content. Appreciate Mark Cassio for stopping in here.
Well, can we hit on LeBarn before we go?
Yes, LeBron James.
Is this man real?
He's. What do you mean? Is he real?
Well, no,
Can you show the video?
Can you put the video?
No, I can't pull it up because of the stream will crash. We
You can't
talked
show the
about
video.
this. No.
Okay.
But-
It looks like some cat. Where did they have where he was from? I'm guessing Indiana.
That's what I'm
Just this
saying.
week's
Is he
news.
legit like country, or is he like doing this as a bit?
Dude's
I mean,
been
a good little jumper,
suspenders, bro.
Yeah.
His jump shot is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First
It really
and foremost.
is.
So I mean, that is legit. And then everything that went around it, he's on a farm somewhere in the Midwest. I'm gonna say I don't know that for sure, but he just looks like he's got Midwest vibes.
100%.
Wait, LeBron. Wait, is that really LeBron that replied to that tweet?
Probably.
It said, "Don't disrespect LeBron."
No, that wouldn't be what he would
not
say.
him?
He wouldn't say that.
No, I think it is.
But he built kind of like, I mean, they call it a gun inside of like a gym where, there's a huge net surrounding the rim. That net will kind of catch it and then scoop it and shoot it back to you wherever you aim the gun to come to. And this guy on a farm.
I wish everybody could see this.
Yeah,
go to Sports Center
I don't know if
and
it's
look at the tweet.
We're gonna get the visual element.
You want to
before we
try?
start
I can try.
No, I don't want to
going
crash.
for it.
I don't want to crash.
I'm going for
He's
it.
going for
all
it.
right.
We're doing it
He's
anyway.
doing
Fly the
it.
plane, bro. Fly the
Lloyd.
plane. I'm going in.
I mean, it's pretty amazing to watch. I hate to just talk about it and no one can see it.
Let me get the facts on LeBarn here before we start plugging it.
Facts on the barn.
Remember if the podcast is brought to you by R&B Builders, as you can find it there. Will Hartzell is the guy on Instagram.
And our coffee.
Wait, is he going to change his name to LeBarn? He has to, right?
He has to.
Like, you go full Instagram handle, Twitter name. You're just LeBarn now.
Let me tell you about our coffee for a second while you're looking that up. Majestic Coffee, you can only get it online right now, so it's delicioussips.com. But I'm going to say that I always put milk in my coffee before I started drinking Majestic
All right, I got
coffee.
LeBarn.
Really?
Now I just drink straight black coffee. It's that good.
LeBarn is real. I mean, this cat he's legit. He's got 95,000 followers on Instagram.
I got him pulled up if you're ready.
38
Oh, he's
posts.
got an Instagram?
But I mean, like all of his Instagram posts are about LeBarn. I mean,
So we're on the
I
ground
love this
floor
guy.
here. We just got in.
I love this guy.
We did just get in.
How often do you think he was posting? He's like, is this going to take off? Do I really have to go put on suspenders and drop a couple buckets again?
I mean, look at your boy here. I mean, in French
It's
League.
pretty amazing.
I mean, yes. I mean, this guy he's a phenomenon. Can you bring that
It's
up?
on. It's up right
It's
now.
on? Okay. We're not crashing?
Yeah.
How about it?
I just made him run. Gotta go quick.
All right, so we appreciate you for being out there. Make sure and check out the podcast. Our daily podcast is brought to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and the crew, 921-7062, and online at rmb-builders.com. That is rmb-builders.com. I mean, look at this setup.
There he is.
Is there anything more
The
important than
suspenders
than
and the
having this if you're going to play basketball by yourself? Like,
No.
there's no more lonely feeling than missing. Like, shooting by yourself, missing a shot, and Karam's way away, and you're like, well, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to get that.
At the undisclosed location, there's a huge moat down here behind the basketball goal. If you miss, you got a huge issue. You know what I mean?
Now you don't have the ball.
We got one rule at the undisclosed location of the basketball floor: don't miss. Tip-off coming up at 6 o'clock this afternoon for LSU and Michigan. We did not talk a lot about LSU baseball, but the Tigers did take 2 of 3. I'm supposed to ring a bell. I guess I'll do that on the way out.
Yeah, you're going to do it?
I'll do it on the way out. Jaden Hill charged for the loss on Friday. Went a career high 7 1/3, but allowed 6 runs on 9 hits, 2 walks, 2 Ks. As you heard Cody Worsham talking about Landon Marceau. Marceau, my God, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the country right now, as he's still not allowed a run. 2 hits, 1 unearned run, and 3 walks through 7 innings, recording 3 strikeouts. Marceau has not allowed an earned run in 31 1/3 consecutive innings dating back to last season. We don't talk a lot of baseball around here, but that's pretty good. And then yesterday, A.J. Labus was the winning pitcher for the Tigers as they finally get a win in the series as they win 8-3 yesterday. Gavin Dugas blasted a go-ahead home run in the 6th inning to lead LSU along the way. They improved to 16-5 overall. Who's the midweek game this week? Do we know? Let me look it up real quick before we get out of here.
I mean, all eyes are on tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what's
For sure.
basketball? I mean, that's the way it has to be.
Yes, absolutely, man. And I hope LSU can get past this one. And
Are
get
you
out
going
and
to what's your plans for the game? We
run.
go in second half? What you thinking?
Well, little Jay's got basketball practice at 6.
We got to move that around,
Yeah,
Coach. What are we?
I don't know what's gonna happen there. LSU
Practice
baseball
or a game?
Practice.
Oh, well, me.
LSU,
you talking about practice.
LSU
Okay.
baseball is back on the field
Tulane.
on versus Tulane on Tuesday tomorrow night down at Turchin Stadium. But it's supposed to rain in South Louisiana, so we'll see if that happens. Enjoy your Monday. 6 o'clock can't get here fast enough. Thanks everybody for supporting. Shout out to RMB Builders. Get your podcast there. Metropolitan Health Group. Real Doctors, Real Solutions for all of our guests that came through on the phone. Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan helping us out on that with our phone sponsor, Majestic Coffee, as Katie talked about. Our coffee every single
No milk
day.
needed.
South Louisiana made. Go Chevrolet, driving us home each day here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
And if anybody wants to know, A-Rod and J-Lo are still fine. He flew back to the Dominican Republic to spend more time with her.
Any more public kisses?
Yeah, tons of PDA.
Oh, they're all
tons
over
of
each other?
PDA,
Oh, so
all
they're
over
back.
each other.
I mean,
all
the
over
air
each other.
miles they're racking up.
I mean, right?
They're
Back
back.
to the Dominican Republic.
Back
Back
to
to
the
Miami.
Dominican
Jokes on the
Republic.
public. Jokes on the public. All right, have a great day. We appreciate you for being out there. Boot up. Boot up. Boot the F up.